Welcome back to Hunter x Hunter Anime Review. This is special number 16. This is reviewing the 387 chapter of the manga, Return. And the chapter feels like I'm reading 385. Like, it literally looks like almost the same exact panels. Like, same panels, just different dialogue. I mean, the chapter starts out with apparently it's now the 8th day of the voyage until they get to the Dark Continent. And it's 7:05 p.m. 7:35 p.m. You see the outside of the ship, and I had just finished reading this chapter, and no Kurapika, and pretty much no familiar characters. It's pretty much like a repeat of chapter 385. How? Because it looks like that Togashi just basically just redid this very chapter, like almost did a pretty much an exact carbon copy of two chapters back. I'm not sure what the heck he was doing with this. Chapter starts out with the same place we began, the past three chapters, with room number 1004. No idea why in the world he's obsessed with this one room. This room prior to 385 had not been basically barely been used prior to this, and now for three chapters we have to start at this particular place. Why? No idea why. Excuse me. And we see somebody. We see the instructor guy from two chapters back teaching. I think this is the one of the bodyguards of one of the princes about Nen. And it seems like it's a very similar scene, just showing off the abilities. Like seeing something against his left shoulder now. Like taking it from the top again. Of course, there's lots and lots of talking. And then basically it's all about Netsu, and there's a thing break, and apparently it was nothing. We see the Nen Beast that popped out a couple chapters back, though it's not there for a good chunk of the chapter like it was last chapter. I mean, there's talk about eyes and closing, saying this was fun. We go outside the room briefly, go back in the room, practicing the Netsu, and of course he shoots him in the head. Again, which that's what he did in chapter 285. Yeah, second time he shot him in the head. And once again, he survived. This by effect basically have his brains blown out. It says, we'll begin with a flute performance by Miss Melody. Whoa, okay. Yeah, that's what basically the guy said. It's so fun, kind of this ability shoots everything, and then he sees like another reality, then back to the room again. So he completely different to me. Like this is the world of Nen. Of course, the guy comes in and of course stops. Like this is part training. It's no problem. Yeah, of course the guy goes off, exhausted. Sees the practice of Nen. Like, oh, this is my Zetsu. It's like, I will dominate this session war. Yeah. Once 1 second has passed, let's have a contest. Okay. What is up with this particular series where last chapter was really good and the previous chapter was a bit of a disappointment? This chapter feels like a retread of chapter 385. I have no idea on it. It's basically kind of a partial follow-up to the last chapter, but it also feels like a partial retread of the last chapter. I mean, the first few pages are simply put the same exact pages that the writer put in for chapter 385, and also, well, the only kind of familiarity with this particular chapter with the other one is to get reference to Melody. We don't see her at all. Once again, we have a chapter that's very much a disappointment for me, anyways, because it just feels like though, for the second chapter I've seen this of the 16 chapters I have reviewed for this series, where it feels as though almost nothing happens. Nothing happens. You have two guys who just stare at each other, talk about Nen for like the entire chapter. This was a very boring chapter. And I kind of felt as though that the story had no progression at all. I am going to give this chapter roughly a 5 out of 10 because it's just an average chapter, and I felt pretty disappointed with it. Still, the artwork is still fantastic, but it didn't feel like, though, that the story is progressing forward. It feels like the story is just not moving forward at all. It's like last chapter, it kind of felt as though this story was moving forward, and this one, it's like the story is stopping. But at least the ending is setting up something. Who knows what it's going to be? We have to wait next week for that. So yeah, that's really it for this episode. It's the last one I was planning to review to anyways, though I'm planning on reviewing Ace Attorney tomorrow. Okay? But until I see you in the next review, bye.